everybody, and welcome to another Palettes I Wish Existed, aka Fantasy Palettes. I get so many requests for new fantasy palettes and, you know, those sort of fan fiction-y palette things. I intentionally try to space them out because I feel like if they're done too often, it's just too repetitive. So I want to do more, however, I don't want to overdo it. So anyway, for those of you who have been requesting that I do these again, I have never stopped doing them. I've been doing this now for almost 3 years, and I will continue to keep doing it because it's a lot of fun. So of course, disclaimer, as always with all of these videos, these are fantasy palettes. They don't exist and they probably never will, so it's totally okay if you don't like them. I really am just kind of exercising my creativity. I like to think of it as sort of fan fiction for makeup because it's really just me taking some sort of inspiration and dreaming up what I think the color story would be, what the color scheme would be, what sort of shadows I would want to have in there, what sort of textures I'd want to see, what sort of finishes. It's really all just in good fun. So I would love to hear from you and what your fantasy palettes would look like. I think this is a really fun exercise to do, even just for yourself, just for fun, to kind of see what sort of stuff you gravitate towards or what sort of things you would just create, and maybe then you can go and create it with your own singles or other shadows you have if you've depotted things or whatever it may be. You may be able to re-inspire yourself with what you already have. So I do my best with pictures to try and capture like duochromes, multi-chromes, glitters, all that sort of stuff. It's not going to be perfect because these aren't things that actually exist. They're just my interpretations of things. So I do my best. Anyway, I think that about covers it for disclaimers, just so you know what you're getting into in case you are new to this series. I do have quite a few of these other videos. If you enjoyed this one, I have done brand specific ones, so designing things that I feel like would fit within a brand's theme. And I've done ones like this one, which is just original sort of concepts. So I thought of a few different 9-pan palettes because I'm really into the smaller size palettes that can still tell a pretty good story, and my inspiration comes from songs. And no Fleetwood Mac this time. That would have to be its own series. I wanted to share some other songs that mean a lot to me. It's all very personal, so I'm going to share a little bit of like why I like the songs, my favorite lyrics, just things that attract me to the song and why I chose it and what my inspiration was. Obviously I can't play the songs because I would get hit pretty hard with that copyright strike stick. So if you are able to, if you have access to something like Spotify or Apple Music, most of these should be on YouTube anyway, so if you feel like listening to them, please do. These are some of my absolute all-time favorite songs. And I do have the taste of a middle-aged white man. I came to terms with that a long time ago, so it is what it is. 4 of these songs are from the 70s and 1 is from the 90s, although that artist was probably at their peak in the 70s, so if that tells you anything, I'm a Fleetwood Mac fan, so I think that kind of tells you where my general taste and preferences lie. So anyway, this is really exciting for me and it's a lot of fun. I am so passionate about creation and this kind of stuff, and I really enjoy it. So anyway, I have my phone and I have some notes, so if you catch me looking down, that is why. So all right, let me know if you have any questions, and let's begin with the first palette, which is inspired by an Elton John song. My absolute favorite Elton John song is the song Amoreena. This is a like country inspired rock. I love this sound. This is my favorite Elton John sound. There's just something about it. It's sort of slow, a little bit sexy. It's like this kind of, there's a little bit of a haziness to it. To me, it's the perfect peak summer song. It just radiates warmth to me. And one particular verse or part of a verse is really where I drew most of my inspiration from, and it is, I can see you sitting eating apples in the evening, the fruit juice flowing slowly, slowly, slowly down the bronze of your body, living like a lusty flower running through the grass for hours. Sounds a lot better when Mr. Elton John is singing it. But okay, so row by row, or is it? Yeah, row. I was trying to think row, column. it confuses me sometimes. So going row by row, we have bronze and pink tones in this palette. We have a soft shimmery duochrome pink with a white base, which I envisioned for like highlighting like inner corner and brow bone and stuff. A rose gold duochrome, but I envision more of a green gold to pink shift. A copper bronze, a old mauve matte, a golden and copper metallic with some slight little flecks of glitter, a dusty pink matte, a deep matte brown with subtle purple undertones, a lively orangey yellow shimmer, and of course a metallic gold. And I know what you're thinking, gee Elle, doesn't this look awfully similar to that Huda Beauty palette you were just raving about? And why, yes, it may be similar. It is not the same. That palette has been living in my mind for the last couple of days since I first saw it. I intentionally did not look at that palette while this was being created, and also some of this was sort of envisioned beforehand. The way I do my palettes is I'll do like a rough sort of draft of it and then leave it for a couple of days and then go back with sort of fresh eyes and look at it again and then make some tweaks. And I think the tweaks were definitely influenced by that palette. But what can I say? It's a beautiful color story. My perfect version, my fantasy version, would just have a good eyeshadow formula. I'm sorry if that's shady, but I just really don't like the Huda Beauty eyeshadow formula, so I would love to have it in a formula that I like to work with. It's beautiful. It's something that inspires me, and I wanted to have that same sort of feeling, like that I wanted to touch it, because that's the one of the things that inspires me with like the Huda Beauty look of palettes, the aesthetic of it, is that I just want to, like, they make the shadows look so good, at least in the pictures, that you just want to dip your fingers in there. And that's what I kind of wanted to achieve with this as well. So it's a whole sensory experience for me, which is very much what this song is. Amoreena is very much a whole sensory experience for me. So I thought of like bronzy makeup looks, lots of glow. It could be very soft, or it could be very dramatic, sort of like insta-glam things with like the winged liner and the lashes and like the overlined lips and the, you know, the thing that I like. I could really imagine that, or I could just imagine like the really subtle sort of washes of color. Palette number 2 is inspired by Summer Highland Falls by Billy Joel. This is such an introspective, reflective song. It was written about manic depression and the sort of ending of a relationship, or like when you really want a relationship to work, but it doesn't, and those sort of highs and lows. So this song makes me think of green. And although summer is in the title of the song, I do think more of kind of a late summer. I think more of probably like a late September, like just before it's like officially, you know, changing into fall, when it's still very warm, but it's not like peak kind of summer. It's like when the trees are still green, but there's that 1 or 2 sort of leaves that have decided to make their exit early. So my favorite section of the song goes, "Now we are forced to recognize our inhumanity. Our reason coexists with our insanity. And though we choose between reality and madness, it's either sadness or euphoria." Again, sounds better when Mr. Billy Joel is singing it. So the palette, we have a matte mossy green, we have a pale satin olive, a shimmery lime with a subtle yellow reflect, a sparkly emerald green, a deep matte navy, a matte grungy mustard shade, a metallic army olivey duochrome, a matte forest green, and a green yellow duochrome with a tiny hint of blue shimmer. So to me, this represents the old and the new, the reality and the madness. I feel like this could be more darker, sort of offbeat kind of looks. This to me is sort of like my swamp witch aesthetic. I am so into so many different aesthetics. I like to switch it up. I'm not just like loyal to one specific kind of look. Sometimes I go through phases where I lean more one way or another. This would totally be for my like sort of swamp witch kind of manic-y kind of phase, I would say. And I think of like statement eyes with like cut creases and like just really bold kind of eye looks, or just very like subtle, like one and done, sort of like one shadow, one green shadow on the lid, or like a green on the lower lash line. I've been really into that, like either like one color sort of like rimming the entire eye, or like very like blown out and sort of glossy a little bit, or just like color on the lower lash line. That's just been what's been really like speaking to me lately, and I feel like it would be really fun to play with colors like this. Palette number 3 is Third Week in the Chelsea by Jefferson Airplane. So this, I guess, harmonica. I just have to say harmonica when it comes to this song. I love when a harmonica is featured in a song. It just gives me so much life. I have a whole playlist on my phone because I have Apple Music, and I have a playlist that is called Harmonica because it is all songs that feature a harmonica. If you have any favorites, please let me know. It's such a strange thing, but it just brings me so much joy. I just today, I was exploring new music, and one of my favorite songs of all time is this song called Memories and Dust by Josh Pike, which would totally be in like a volume 2 or 3 if I did more like song inspired palettes. And there's this new revamped version of it for 2020 just released, and the first thing you hear is harmonica, and there's such a strong harmonica feature on the song, and I am obsessed. I lost it. I've already listened to it like 8 times. I love it so much. Anyway, we're not talking about that song. We are talking about Third Week in the Chelsea. This is probably such a strange song to be my #1 Jefferson Airplane song, but it is a song I keep going back to over and over and over again. It's a storytelling song, which I really enjoy, so it's not like your typical sort of like song format, like the verse and the chorus and all that stuff. It really just tells a story. It's about Jefferson Airplane's time in the iconic Chelsea Hotel and sort of the ending of the band. So I get very Nothing Gold Can Stay sort of vibes from this song, if you guys are familiar with the poem from Robert Frost. My favorite verse is the very end of the song, which is, well, now what is going to happen now is anybody's guess. If I can't spend my time with love, I guess I need a rest. Time is getting late now, and the sun is getting low. My body's getting tired of carrying another's load, and sunshine's waiting for me a little further down the road. That last line, and sunshine is waiting for me a little further down the road. Something is ending, but also something new is beginning. Sometimes you have to keep going. You have to trust that no matter if it's getting dark, no matter if it's getting darker, you have to trust that you will get to a point where there will be sunshine again. And that to me has meant so much to me. That's why I keep going back to it, especially at certain times of my life. You know, like when you're in that dark place, that's why I keep going back to that. Just even for that very last line of that song, that sunshine's waiting for me a little further down the road. I just have to keep going, keep moving, and I will get to the sunshine. So it's such an important song to me. It's one of those songs that I can't imagine my life without it. So dramatic, but music, it means so much to me. I love music so much. Most people who are watching this probably know that, but even the fact that I'm doing a palette inspired by songs. So of course this palette had to be sunshiny. It had to feel fun. I wanted it to just be something that I would look at and smile. Like, I didn't want it to be heavy at all. I wanted it to just be light, because although there is a lot of darkness and the overall song's tone is fairly dark, because it really is coming to terms with something that's ending, that had been so successful for so long. And I hold on to that last line, that bit of hope that's like, yeah, you know, our time may be done, but there's going to be more. I'm going to have more opportunities going forward. So we have a metallic turquoise, a matte lemon sherbet yellow, a wine red satin, a peachy pink duochrome, a metallic orange with yellow reflect, a yellow metallic with fine flecks of silver glitter, a sunshine yellow shimmer, a matte orange, and a sparkling confetti inspired multichrome. I really just think of like the turquoise and the wine together, lemon and orange. It's the kind of thing that I would swatch when I wasn't feeling like myself. Like, it's the kind of thing that I would sit on my floor and I would just have those colorful swatches like up and down my arms, and eventually I would just get to that point where I'm like, you know what, now I want to put it on my eyes. And so many times I do that with my makeup, and a lot of the times it is more of those sunshiny sort of shades. Some things like golds and yellows and oranges, because those are sort of like my happy place when it comes to makeup. It's usually very sort of predictable, you know, to do a sunset eye with like, you know, an orange outer corner and like yellow in the inner or whatever. It's like, okay, we've seen this, but it's what makes me happy. And that's what I wanted this to reflect, is that when I've been in those moments where I don't want to put makeup on my face, there's nothing that really inspires me, those are the things that usually get me back into it again. So I wanted my sort of fantasy palette to reflect that. Palette number 4 is Walls by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So this is my favorite Tom Petty song, hands down, my number 1. Kind of an odd choice, but this is a me song. This is like a me against the world kind of song. I'm not everybody's flask of whiskey, so like to say. I can't remember who originally said that to me, who kind of gave me that phrase to use. It was a comment on one of my videos long time ago. I love it because it's just so appropriate. I can be very intense. I can be very passionate. I can make people very uncomfortable sometimes from the way that I speak or you know, that kind of stuff. But like the song says, you've got a heart so big it could crush this town. And this song reminds me of that. Some days are diamonds and some days are rocks. Some doors are open and some roads are blocked. I just love all the imagery in this song, and I love how it makes me feel. And also, okay, so there's like a little Fleetwood Mac sort of adjacent reference in here because Lindsey Buckingham does backing vocals on this song, and the ending in particular, like I often, whenever I'm listening to it, I find myself just like going right on those backing vocals because it's one of the best things Lindsey Buckingham has ever done. Ever. It's one of my favorite things he's ever done. And it just sounds so good. I love the way that Tom Petty's voice and Lindsey's voice sound together. And I'm just like, by the time, like if I'm crying and I'm in a bad mood and I just feel like everybody hates me and I'm never gonna be anything, or like somebody was mean to me or whatever, and I'm listening to this song, by the time it gets to the end, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it with like tears in my eyes running down my face, I'm still like going in with those backing vocals because it's just so good. It hits so right. So this is like the reliable song. This is the song that kind of always picks me up. And it makes me kind of think of blues a little bit with the like half of me is ocean, half of me is sky kind of lyrics, but it's not a blue themed palette. It's, I'd say, blue focused. So we've got kind of cooler, moodier sort of tones. There's blue shimmer with lighter blue reflect. There's iridescent shimmer with hints of pink and blue with a clear base, a satin dark blue, a matte mulberry, a cool metallic taupe, blue pink intense duochrome, a silver chrome metallic, a matte ocean blue, and a sparkling deep blue with hints of purple flecks. So to me, this is romantic and passionate, but a bit cold. Like it's frosty, but there's like passion. There's a lot going on, and it really just reminds me sort of like wintry sky and like the way that like the ocean or the sea may look like on a winter's day. Like I really wanted that half ocean, half sky sort of mixture there. I think of like sleek lids with chrome shadow or like little hints of blue paired with like dramatic bold lip colors, and maybe like a flushed face, or just like no lip color, like a lip balm or something, and like the flushed face and like the subtle hints of color, or like those dark sort of like cooler like taupey chrome kind of colors. Like it just, that's what this makes me think of. Now the last palette, I cried while making this. This was the first one I did, and it's very, very, very personal. So it's impossible for me to pick a Jackson Browne song that's my favorite. But for this one, I went with the song Daddy's Tune. It's about sort of his relationship with his father, and I'm gonna do my best to keep it together here. I'm gonna try and just like stick to like what I've kind of written, because this is gonna be difficult. You know, in our youth, sometimes we don't listen to the advice and the wisdom of our parents. Sometimes it takes us getting older to really realize what our parents were doing. Sometimes it takes so much time to really understand what happens, and my father has shared so much with me over the years. So the lyric goes, "But Daddy, I want to let you know somehow the things you said are so much clearer now, and I would turn the pages back, but time will not allow. The way these days just rip along, too fast to last, too vast too strong. So this is a palette entirely inspired by my father, and specifically our Sunday morning breakfasts, because for most of 2019 I lived with my parents, and every Sunday I had breakfast with my father. Even if he had been up before me and had already eaten, I would still eat my breakfast like in the room with him, and we had our whole like routine and stuff, and breakfast was always the same: coffee, bagel, poached egg, cheese, fruit. Fruit was very important. It was always like a selection of fruit, and I have a whole thing of like fruit salads with my father. Like even when I wasn't living there, if I came over for dinner, which I would do like probably at least once a week, and my father would like put together a little fruit salad and like a to-go like Tupperware cup for me, and sometimes even I'd be home and he'd like call me or text me or like send me an email and be like, hey, do you want a fruit salad? And I'd like walk down over the hill, because when I had a house, it was like a 10-ish minute walk from my parents. So I'd like walk down over the hill and I'd get my fruit salad cup. And so I just have like such wonderful memories, and I'm so incredibly lucky that I got to have those memories, and I will treasure them forever. So yes, this is the palette that is inspired by that, with the fruit salad and the whole sort of Sunday kind of breakfast. And if this was a real palette, it would totally have to be shaped like a plate. My father loved dishes. He loved anything sort of kitchen-y. He loved to cook, so it was always about pots and pans and all that kind of fun stuff. So it would totally have to be like a circle, like a very circular sort of palette that I'm sure people would not like it, but it would totally be what I would have to create if I was able to create it, because I feel like that would be so true to the inspiration. So I'm gonna just let the palette speak for itself, because I don't know if I can get through all of that, but there's, you know, inspiration from raspberries and blueberries and strawberries and bananas and melons, honeydew and cantaloupe, and of course like the coffee and the bagel and the egg and that kind of stuff. So I really wanted to create this, and it was sort of therapeutic to create it. It was also, I went through a lot of emotions creating it. It's very, very personal. So if you don't like this particular palette, maybe keep that to yourself. This is very personal, and I'm sure not everybody's cup of tea, flask of whiskey, cup of black coffee, I don't know. But to me, it was very important that I share this, and I really wanted to share that memory with people, and it's just something that I've been thinking about, and it was a good experience to kind of create this and sort of think of what fictionally that fantasy palette would look like. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. That is all for my fantasy palette video inspired by songs. Let me know if you would like to see more fantasy palettes. If you have any ideas for inspiration, sources of inspiration, please let me know. I would love to hear it. If you have any other video requests, recommendations, suggestions, ideas, please let me know as well, because I love hearing from you guys, and I love, love, love being able to create content that you also enjoy watching. I love when I can kind of strike that balance between what I get really excited to create and what you guys get excited to watch. So anyway, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.